So I've come up to MTHQ, and the man who actually makes sure this all goes on air, pays for it all for us, Gary Lamb, MD of Manx Telecom. I know this is a situation, we're doing this in the car park.
Yeah,
we're keeping,
not too close.
I know, and we were having a chat only last week, and it was all seemed like it still might not happen, but it clearly has now happened. You're in lockdown, but the questions I really need to ask is for people who are at home with their working at home scenarios and using broadband.
Yeah.
Is it putting a lot of strain on your systems?
Well, I think it's too early to actually know what the strain might be on the network. I mean, just if we go back to Manx Telecom, over the weekend, I gave a lot of thought to where we were in terms of our business continuity planning. We have plans that we keep up to date all year and every year, but actually we spent a lot of time on Monday going through all of those plans to make sure that we're absolutely sure, as we could be, that those plans are going to be robust. So then I took the decision that actually we want to get as many people home working as we could, so that we could protect our people, but also importantly that we could continue to provide a service. And what we don't want is, for the virus to come into our buildings and end up with a lot of people off, because it's vitally important that we can provide service to the island.
So you are in a lockdown situation here, are you? No guests coming in or anything?
We have no guests coming into any of our buildings. The only facility is the shop, where we are still allowing customers in. We're pretty strict in terms of how we engage with those customers, so we are making sure that we are keeping our distance. We're cleaning the devices before and after there's any touching of those devices. The footfall is obviously lower. You'll know yourself, you've only got to look around, it's actually got a lot quieter. It's quite eerie across different places in the island, and in town, etc. So yeah, we are in a kind of lockdown. And there's a small number of us in the building here. Some of our critical staff, like the contact centre, and some of the people that, the engineers, and some of the people that need to be available so that we can service the government, etc., make sure everything keeps running. They're across a number of buildings again to protect them and make sure that if we do have any illness, that we're able to provide service.
Okay, now let's talk about people who are working at home then. I mean, that immediately. And they could be even watching Netflix during the day or anything that's putting much more loading on. Have you seen that, and how is your systems able to deal with it?
I think it's too early. We are monitoring the network on a regular basis. We have regular calls across the whole of the business on things like network performance, what's going on in the shop. So we'll be very alive to any issues. I think my sense is that we're quite early in actually putting our people into their homes, away from the office. I think we'll start seeing more offices go and work at home. So from next week, I expect to feel a little bit more pressure on the infrastructure. But we will do everything we can to make sure we can provide the service. And on your point about the likes of Netflix, etc., I guess the challenge for us and any other operator is as soon as the schools actually close, which I guess could be imminent, you've got the challenge of your children at home, bored for several weeks. They want to play on their gaming machines and watch Netflix, and then you've got the parents trying to work using the broadband. Yeah. Now, we've already noticed or seen some announcements by some of the operators, in fact in the UK, suggesting that people are careful and thoughtful about how they use their broadband at home. We're not at that point yet. We might get to that point. I think we just need to watch it and monitor it very carefully and just try and do the best we can to keep service going.
What's the pinch point? Is it here on the island, or the fibre cables being overloaded? Where it's going to happen?
This is going to be complex, so I don't know where the issue is going to be. We've seen issues off the island before, recently when Amazon Prime got some of the Premiership games, so this is quite complex. All I can say is we'll do everything we can on the island. We'll also make sure we've got capacity off the island to provide a as normal as possible service as we can.
Are your engineers going to faults in houses and those sort of things?
Yeah, I mean, we put procedures in place so that the engineers, are protected. As I said earlier, my primary concern is the safety of our people. But recognising we still need to provide service, we will, having gone through a checklist, we will go and do the repairs we need to do. This is a fast-moving situation, so we might get to the point where we have to just focus on critical matters. So the normal service of going into people's homes may be reduced, but at this point in time I can't tell you how this is going to evolve.
And I'm going to ask a question you can't answer. I mean, you're ready for the long term on this, are you? You know, this sort of, it could go on for months.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think what we'll find, and we're already finding even today, we're getting used to working remotely. You know, so using tools like Skype for Business, Zoom, Teams, those tools are fantastic. You know, we will get used to it. We'll all get used to it, and we'll just have to do things differently in future.
The final thing, I mean, 999 and now potentially 111 is on its way. That must be mission critical.
Yeah, so we've been working with the government, as you'd expect, to provide you know, service and help them to make sure that, you know, people can call in and get all the help and advice they need in, you know, in a really difficult situation.
Okay, and I'm just thinking, instead of watching it in Ultra HD, maybe just watch it in standard definition if you want to do your own bit at home to sort of not drain the network.
Yeah, I think if people can think a little bit differently about what's going on and think about when you're in your home, rather than downloading big files and watching Netflix, you know, just think about the impact that might have across the network. We're all in this together. The good thing about the Isle of Man is that everybody tends to pull together when there's a crisis, so I think we'll need each other to be responsible and pull together in this case.